Hi everybody. Hi. Thank you so much for watching my video today. My name is Greg Clarke. That's me over there in the cartoon. That's a picture that was drawn of me a few years ago, and it's just me with my camera, which is something that makes me really happy. It's not what I do for a living. I'm not a photographer for a living, but I do it a lot. And I even get to do it in my job, which I'm going to talk to you about today. My job is actually, I work in a field called public relations or corporate communications. And sometimes we even refer to it by its initials, which is PR. And you might be asking, like, what the heck is public relations or what is PR?
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not.
It gets the people going.
I love that clip because that kind of reflects the conversation that my son and I sometimes have, and he's like, what is it you do again for a living? So I'm going to explain it to you guys, and maybe I'll share this video with him when I'm done. But before I really talk about public relations, I do want to share a little bit about the company I work for. I work for a great company called W.O. Gore Associates. And you might not have heard of the company, but you might have heard of our product, which is called Gore-Tex. And Gore-Tex is something that appears in different kinds of jackets and snowsuits, pants, ski pants, cycling pants, even shoes and gloves. And what Gore-Tex does is it keeps things like rain and snow and wind from getting to your body. But at the same time, it also allows, if you're hiking really hard, it allows for your perspiration to get out and evaporate. And that is really important because if you're climbing, say, a really high mountain and, steep altitudes, that can help prevent hypothermia. And so Gore-Tex jackets have been used for many years now, and even used by teams that have climbed Mount Everest and gone to the North Pole and some of the coldest places on Earth. And so I'm really proud to be working for a company like this with really great people. I'm going to show you now just a quick video of the building I work in, and you're going to see some pictures on the wall, some things on the wall, and you're going to just see all the different products that are made with Gore-Tex. So keep an eye out for the different things. You might see an astronaut spacesuit, which has Gore-Tex in it. You might see guitar strings. We make guitar strings, and you're going to see other things that really encompass Gore-Tex use. So take a look, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about public relations. So one of the things that I want to say right up front about public relations is that it involves things related to communication. So that is speech writing, making speeches and presentations, a lot of writing, and a lot of creativity. And so how did I get into this field? Well, a lot of it has to do with my education. So for undergrad, I went to Emory University, which is down in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's a couple of pictures of Emory there. Lovely campus, and had a great 4 years there. So I studied English, but I minored in Russian studies and also took a lot of journalism and communication classes. Now you might be asking, what the heck is an English degree? Is that for somebody who doesn't speak English? And no, it's not. Actually, English means things like English literature, English composition, writing papers and doing research. And so I did things like studied poetry, I studied novels and plays, and really learned how different authors wrote for different types of stories and different story formats. And it really helped me become a great writer. I also learned about media and how the media work, and even got to do some interviews for television. I even interviewed former President Jimmy Carter once. That was really cool to do as a college freshman and appear on the local news and have everybody yell, "Hey dude, you're famous. I saw you on TV." That was a lot of fun. So I did my undergrad at Emory. After I got out of Emory, I actually went to work for a bank for a few years. And all I can tell you is, no, thank you. I didn't like it. So not to knock anybody who works for a bank, it just wasn't for me. So what I ended up doing though was I ended up going to the University of Pittsburgh for a master's degree. Now my master's is actually in business administration. And you might say to yourself, well, wait a minute, I thought you didn't like banking. And yes, that's true. But because I knew I really did want to do something like public relations work, I thought it was important that I understood how business worked and how companies worked. And it really has paid dividends. So I went to the University of Pittsburgh, or Pitt, and got my MBA. And that allowed me actually to move to, obviously, Pennsylvania. And I love Pennsylvania. And so now working for W.O. Gore and Associates, it's been a great, great journey. So let's take a look at what we mean by, again, PR or public relations. So take a look at this picture and you'll see a few things happening here. You'll see the guy on the far left, he's being interviewed by people from the news. Then in the picture that has the blue background, you see someone talking to a huge audience presenting business information or technical information. And then you kind of have that little bit of a word cloud, word bubble thing going on. And it says a lot of different words that actually make up public relations. So you're dealing with business, you might be dealing with doing things on the internet, you might be doing things for a company or a corporate, or you might represent a whole industry. Like I know people who do public relations for the entire airline industry. I work for an individual company, but some people do multiple companies. You might do things on the web and with magazines. You might deal with promotion. So it's really just a very diverse area of work. And that's one of the things I love about it, in that my job is never the same from day to day. It's different each and every day. And that to me just makes it very exciting. Now you might ask yourself, hey, is public relations the same thing as advertising? And actually, it's not. It's a little bit different. So advertising all by itself, if you look at the person on the right side in the yellow, so he's like the yellow suit, advertising is where you pay people to put information out that you want them to share. So for example, when you have a car commercial, a car company has paid a lot of money to produce a commercial, a lot of money. And then they also pay the television stations to run the commercial, and they pay every time the commercial comes on. So it can be very, very expensive. Now, on the other side is the public relations side, and it's generally not as expensive because you aren't paying people to share your information. What happens is you do share things like, let's say, Gore is going to introduce the new Air Jordans. We do have some new, as I mentioned, some new Air Jordan Gore-Tex shoes. And so we will let people know, hey, these are now coming out. And people will call and say, hey, can I talk to you about this because I want to write a story about it. And you'll spend some time telling them about the shoe, how you came to design it. And all of that happens at no cost. The other cool thing about working in PR is it's not just writing things or doing interviews. It is a whole bunch of stuff. And so if you look at that picture with the megaphone, you can see all kinds of things coming out, like the cell phone and the calculator, the email, ideas, and then the science symbol, the technology symbols. The other thing is Gore, as we call ourselves, we have facilities all over the world. So we have buildings in Delaware and Maryland, Phoenix, Arizona, California, Munich, Germany, Tokyo, in China, and just Australia, all over the place. And so when you write a message, it's important that people in other countries and other languages be able to understand it. So we have to write things that are very clear and very concise. And then it's easy to translate those messages so people can understand them. And so that's one of the cool things about being in PR is you really learn that. It's not that easy. It takes a lot of work and a lot of practice. The other thing is you can be creative. So sometimes we will send things like messages, or we might do contests with employees, and we might do it over the phone so people can, maybe occasionally win prizes. We do that at work where I am, but in my role in PR, we help people connect with each other, even when they're in two different countries. The people in Arizona, they might be making one kind of Gore-Tex product, and people in Germany might be making something very different. So how do they get to know about that? Well, we in the public relations team, we actually have an internal news site. And so we will interview teams and write stories about things that the teams are doing. So someone in China can go and read a story about what someone in Arizona is building. And that keeps people, again, connected and engaged. So that's just another great thing about what we do, and it's very, very exciting. In addition to having employees in the company know what's happening with each other, we can also do public relations with the local media, with certain magazines. I do things on social media, so I do posts for LinkedIn, we have a Twitter account, we have an Instagram account, we have a Facebook feed, and then there's other areas of social media that you might not be into yet, but as you get older and start looking for a job of your own, you might look at those. So Glassdoor is a place where people go to learn about companies, and we put information out there in stories and pictures. So public relations, like that megaphone, is just a wide variety of things. And trust me when I tell you, it's a very exciting area of work. One of the cool things about being in public relations too is, for me, is I love photography. And so we were going to be taking new pictures of our employees to be used on our website. And so I got to use my photography skills, and I got to go to Arizona to photograph people. I've been to Germany, I've been to China, I've been to Japan, I've been to Korea, I've been to Hong Kong, and I've been to Thailand, all to take pictures and learn about the different people at W.O. Gore and Associates. And I can't tell you how much fun that was. It was hard work, but it was a lot of fun. And that's something that, again, I think for people in public relations, we tend to be very creative. We like to meet new people. We like to write and engage and share information. And so I'm going to share with you, as I get ready to close this out, 6 things that you might want to think about if you want to consider a career in public relations. So number 6, I'm going to go from 6 to 1. So it's about persuasion. It's about letting people know what's important to either a company or to an individual. So for example, you might have read where a certain musician, they have what's called a spokesperson. Well, that person's doing public relations. And so that spokesperson might be sharing information about a new album that person might be putting out, or they're going to star in a new movie. So you can represent a person. Like me, you can represent a company or a group of companies. You can even do public relations for an entire country. So if you've ever watched, for example, what's called a White House press briefing, someone stands up at a podium and there's the symbol of the White House or the office of the president, and they're sharing information. And that person is doing communications. They're doing public relations. Number 4, it's about storytelling. So sometimes the information that I have to share can be very technical. There can be lots of science in it. I've worked for other companies as well, such as a company that does cancer research, and it's very technical. There's a lot of medical information. My role is to help people understand that technical information, and usually a good way to do it is through stories. Number 3, so as I mentioned with the megaphone earlier, you get to use all types of media. You get to be creative. You can share your story through websites and videos, social media posts and speeches. You get to play in all those places. So another thing about being in public relations or corporate communications, there is lots of learning. You get to learn about new products, new people, new company strategies. You even get to know all the people, new people that join your organization. One of the things that I really love is learning all the time. I'm a lifelong learner, and it's a great challenge. And I would say, if you're not in a job where you're not learning something and it's just the same old, that could get kind of boring. And so for me, I love learning. So, if you're that kind of person, you might want to think about a career in PR. And then the last but not least, the most is there's lots of writing. So you have to love writing. You might spend a lot of time reading about something that's very technical, and then you're going to spend even more time writing about it in a way that other people can understand. And that's the cool thing about public relations. For me anyway, because remember I mentioned I studied English and I studied like writing composition, I studied communications and journalism. So I learned to write for different types of use. So the way you write for a social media post is one way, and you guys know that. You might be on Twitter or something, and it has to be short. You only have 140 characters or a little bit more than that. And then that's very different from something you might write in an article or something very different that you might write in an email to your friends. So learning how to write for those different uses, that's a big part of what I do, and I love doing that. So anyway, I hope this helps you understand a little bit about public relations and what it does. I hope you might be interested in it as a career. If you are, what I would encourage you to do is maybe talk to your English teacher at school or your guidance counselor. You might also ask your parents or someone in a family member or family friend if they know anyone in their company or place of work who's in public relations, and ask them if you can, learn a little bit more and ask them some more questions. But I want to thank you for spending some time with the video and spending some time with me. I hope this was giving you some good information, and just thanks so much. But whatever you decide to do in your career, make sure it brings you joy, make sure it allows you to learn and grow all the time. And I wish you success in whatever it is you choose to do. All right? Thanks for your time. Take care.